This was my first reaction to Jonathan Antoine, and we all love Les Mis, so you're going to love this performance. It was great, lots of fantastic sounds, and we get a cello, which just makes any performance instantly better. Let's go.
There's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain goes on and on. Empty chairs at empty tables. Now my friends are dead and gone. Here they talked of revolution. Here it was they lit the flame. Here they sang about tomorrow, and tomorrow never came.
Beautiful. This isn't a very long piece, so I want to really hone in on the things that he's doing really well. When you have a shorter piece like this, you have to really dive in on something like the text. Incredible diction. Everything that I would want from a singer in terms of diction, he is doing. There's a grief that can't be spoken. Getting to that voiced consonant, that voiced N. There's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain goes on and on. Right? So he's really singing through every little last bit. That's great. Because musical theater is all about storytelling. It's about the text. It's about what's happening in this plot, right? And in this case, for Marius, where all of his friends are dead, it's so important to hear these really impactful words that he's singing. And this piece on its own, like the melody, the accompaniment, we add the cello to that, there's already going to be such an incredible level of depth of emotion. But if we don't hear the words, there's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain goes on and on. Empty chairs at empty tables. If that doesn't give you an exact image of what's going on, you picture, or you remember earlier in the show, this bar is full of people. It's full of talk and revolution and planning and energy. And now, complete silence.
There's a grief that can't be spoken.
Yes. So spoken. But there's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a grief that can't be spoken. It's almost like we're doing this upward motion and then a suspend, and then we go on the word grief. If this music were choreographed as a dance, and it were danced like the way he's singing it, we might have there's a grief that can't be spoken. You kind of suspend there. And that's really important because we want to highlight the word grief. It's so simple, but it's not that simple at the same time.
There's a pain goes on and on.
Same thing there. There's a pain goes on and on. He decided to sing through the word pain this time rather than suspend it too much.
Empty chairs at empty tables.
Nice.
Now my friends are dead and gone.
So there's a hollowness to this melody and the accompaniment at the same time. So when we start this piece, there's a lot of open fifths, and open fifths create that feeling of emptiness because there's no third of the chord. The third kind of gives it body. The way the melody just gently goes over top of it, he's decided to do a piano dynamic level, so very, very soft, which is very appropriate for this because later on it's going to get bigger and he wants to set himself up for something pretty spectacular. So right now it's kind of just like shock and grief. Later on in the piece, spoiler alert, he's going to really bring it. And I've never heard this version before. I've sung this song many times, so I know how it works. Now, Jonathan Antoine is a tenor. He's not a baritone, but baritones can sing this song too, and basses if you really want to. And I would like to invite you to join the Baritone Lab. This is the world's first and best baritone-only community. I'm teaching everything that I know about singing in this community, which is completely free for the first 7 days. After that, it's only $29 a month. Courses, resources, audio files, PDFs, training guides, live Zoom sessions, Q&As, everything that you want to know about singing, about being a baritone or being a bass baritone or a bass is happening in this community. So join me, click the link in the video description, and I'll see you there.
Revolution.
Nice. Beauty.
Here it was they lit the flame.
Here it was they lit the flame.
Here they sang about tomorrow.
Here they sang, the past tense. So the important words are getting that big emphasis. Here they sang about tomorrow, right?
And tomorrow never came.
So you hear how he was really soft on the word came? That is pretty much as low as Jonathan can go. As a tenor singer, that's as low. For me as a baritone, and tomorrow never came, I can go a lot lower than that. So my version of this song will be a little bit more vibrant this way. It's going to be a bit chestier. It's going to be obviously lower in timbre and texture. And I can still do the light stuff, but Jonathan's high notes are going to be different than mine would be. Not saying one version is better than the other, but two different versions of the same song. And if a higher tenor than Jonathan sang it and it was even lighter, or a lower tenor, or if a bass sang it, there's so many different variations that you can do. Jonathan is a tenor, so that note came is pretty much the basement for him.
From the table in the corner, they could see a world reborn, and they rose with voices ringing. I can hear them now, the very words that they had sung became the last communion on the lonely barricade at dawn.
All right, cool. So we get two very different sounds, really in like a span of 10 seconds. So we get that became the last communion, really, really big and full and vibrant and operatic. And then we also immediately after get the very light sound. So that makes Jonathan a versatile and just great singer overall. He can do different things within one song while still maintaining the sense of his own voice. That's what we always want to do as singers, is we always want to be true to our own instrument. It's great if we've got other tools in our tool chest that we can pull out as singers. For example, singing with that really strong sound, but also singing with the light sound. That's fantastic to be able to do that, but always stay true to your voice. Never forget that.
They rose with voices ringing. I can hear them now, the very words that they had sung became the last communion.
It's a gorgeous piece. If you really pay attention to the lyrics, It's absolutely killer. It's painful. So what Jonathan's also doing a really nice job of, hopefully you just heard it, is he's singing through the phrase to get to the high note. Let's listen to that once more so you can really get a sense of what I'm talking about. So the high note, that's going to be brilliant. But to make it even more brilliant, we have to sing the pre-stuff. We can't just focus on the high note. We have to sing that lead up that's coming up. Okay? If we don't, then the high note's just not going to be as good.
Voice is ringing. I can hear them now. The very words that they had sung.
Nice. Yeah, so you can hear how he really sings with beautiful support the lead up notes. That was one lesson that I had to learn when I was a student is why can't I get these high notes? And then my teacher said, well, you're under singing everything that comes before it. So instead of thinking of it like, I can hear them now, the very words that they had sung. Instead of thinking it like that, you think, the very words that they had sung became their last communion. Think of the entire phrase as a linear line going up. That's going to keep your energy all the way to the very end of the phrase instead of, oh, I've sung the high note, now I can just give up and stop singing. No, you have to go all the way through the phrase, even if the middle of the phrase has that peak. It's not going to go up and then down. Energy-wise, it has to go in a linear fashion.
Became the last communion.
Nice.
On the lonely barricade at dawn. Oh, my friends, forgive me. That I live and you are gone. There's a grief that can't be spoken. There's a pain goes on and on. Phantom faces at the window. Phantom shadows on the floor. Empty chairs at empty tables. Where my friends will meet no more. Oh, my friends, don't ask me what your sacrifice was for. Empty chairs at empty tables. Where my friends will see no
Nice. A cellist and a vocalist, they always go so well together if they're both good. And in this case, they're both good. So that does make a difference. But I love this idea of, and I brought this up a couple of times, of a singer trying to sing like a cellist would play and a cellist trying to play like a singer would sing. It's this beautiful relationship that they have and we should have with all instruments. Really, it doesn't matter if you're singing with piano, it doesn't matter if you're singing with a bagpipe. You want to adopt some of the qualities of the flow and the lyricism. And what I loved about the cello is that she really embodied the meaning and the intention behind this song. And even though she's playing cello and there's no lyrics, she is absolutely feeling that. She's performing that. She's embodying the meaning of the song. And I think they both did a great job of putting us in the context of this musical. I think we understood, even if you don't really know Les Mis that well, I think we understood what was happening. There's a lot of sadness in the song. There's a lot of grief. There's a lot of like, ah, and then pull it back as well. They both really understood the assignment here. I think one thing that I would encourage my students, encourage you if you're watching, is if you're performing, what are you doing with your hands? What's going on with your hands? And it always helps to sing in front of a mirror when you're practicing, because you can see what you're doing. For example, baritone, sometimes we have this thing called the baritone claw. I don't really know where it came from, but a lot of baritones, in an attempt to be dramatic, and a lot of bass and baritone roles are very stern, and especially in opera, we do this weird baritone claw thing where we just kind of stiffen our arm and we think this is expressive. No, it's bad. So what do we do with our hands? Because what we don't want is that our hands, we don't want them to be distracting. We don't want them to be doing things that don't actually add to the performance at all. They don't add to the plot. They actually just serve as a bit of a distraction. That's what I want you to be wary of. And that's not just going to be your hands. Sometimes it's going to be body position. Sometimes it's going to be how you maybe you put your weight off to one side, or maybe you've got a head tilt. For me, I always had a high shoulder because I played a lot of baseball growing up, so I just had more tightness in there. So I had to make sure that I wasn't stiffening up. But certainly, don't do anything with your hands that's going to be distracting. Use them, of course, if you want to express, like I'm expressing right now. But motions that don't really make sense to the plot, we want to make sure we eliminate those. But really great performance by both of these wonderful artists, and I'm looking forward to listening to more. This was great.